Hello, so welcome to another video on UPSC Essentials. We are going to finish UPSC Essentials for every month. We are beginning with October. We've already begun with October. So we are going to go directly to the topic we are going to do today, which is what sculptures tell us about Indian culture, art and culture, written by Devdutt Patnaik. Devdutt Patnaik is a renowned author on history. He has written really good books on Indian history. So before we begin, we'll just go through the previous year questions once on these topics. And by the way, this is my GPT, and I'll perhaps paste the link of my GPT, which you'll be able to use for your preparation. So I've just written the prompt is fetch all the PYQs on Indian sculptures, and here are the questions from 2013. How do paintings of Ajanta depict the life and teachings of Buddha? And the rock cut architecture represents one of the most important sources of our knowledge of early Indian art and history discussed. So here the Pala period is most significant phase of importance of accounts of Chinese Lion capital of modern empire is a fine example of Indian sculptural art, and discuss role of Gandha Art, stylistic developments in sculptural art from Maurya to Gupta, and there was a question on lion and the bull symbolism. So there's a lot of discussion around these topics. That is, what do these sculptures signify to us? So we'll just go through what Devdutt Patnaik ji has here in this article discussed. In comparison to architecture, sculptures are more aesthetic or ritualistic and do not have a functional purpose. Okay, this is something interesting to hear. So talking about sculpture particularly is more ritualistic and does not have functional purpose, right? Architecture serves a purpose. You have mandapas to dance and stuff, but talking about sculptures, we don't have this kind of analytical thinking about everything. So it's only from reading different stuff that we get this kind of thought. So sculptures basically don't have a functional purpose. They are more aesthetic and ritualistic. But what do sculptures tell us about contemporary society and culture? Written by Devdutt Patnaik ji. How is sculpture different from architecture? Now, architecture deals with the dwelling places, homes, palaces, tombs, temples, mosques, monuments. It has a functional utility, right? Sculptures, on the other hand, are more aesthetic or ritualistic and do not have a functional purpose. So this is the sculpture from Harappan civilization, the ruins. Look at these bangles on one hand and not on the other. Very fashionista population it was, supposedly, the beads and all. Sculptures typically show human, animal and plant figures or supernatural beings standing in isolation or emerging from walls. What a wonderful description. Emerging from walls. I'm going to use some of these words. Emerging from walls. Supernatural beings. Okay. The most ancient sculptures we have come. This is only 2 pages, so don't worry. We'll just finish this in quick action. The most ancient sculptures we have come from Harappan civilization. 2500. A lot of people get confused in these years also. Harappan civilization. Okay, and you have to give the range, all right. The clay figurines, usually female, bejeweled, perhaps of ritual use. Tiny bronze images such as 10.5 centimeters long dancing girl, made in lost wax method. So there are clay sculptures and there are bronze sculptures like the dancing girl, and stone images of later periods, such as the priest king made of soft stone or steatite. We are particularly talking about Harappa or what? No, we are moving to Mauryan pillars and stupas. From 1900 BC to 300 BC, we do not have sculptures. Alright, this is something new. 1900 to 300 BC, no sculptures. Alright, Vedic people did not make sculptures. Let's just highlight this stuff. Okay, Vedic people did not make sculptures, at least not in durable materials. And during the Mauryan Empire, 320 to 185 BC, royal sculptures were built on top of pillars. So I'm just gonna note it down for myself. So the information has been noted. For example, the sandstone lion capital of Ashoka. Okay, this stone was sandstone with 4 lifelike lions, and the Dharma Chakra interspersed with 4 animals: lion, elephant, bull, and a horse. Okay, so Ashoka's capital was sandstone. Ashoka, I would write. While Ashoka built many stupas, it was in later centuries under Shungas and the Satavahanas that the stupas expanded with railings. Okay, all this is new information for me. You have bas relief, I think it's bas relief or shallow carvings on these railings of Sanchi and Bharhut around 100 BC, telling the story of Buddha's life. Here Buddha is depicted symbolically, and there are scenes of urban life of people venerating the Buddha. Influence of Greek and Persian artists is evident here. Sculptured appearance of Buddha during the Kushan rule. Oh, it's not visible, perhaps. I'm sorry about the visibility till now. I've increased the size a bit. So, sculptured appearance of Buddha during the Kushan rule around 180. We have the period of Gandhara art in Swat Valley of present-day Pakistan, and Mathura art of Gangetic Plains, and Amravati art of Krishna and Godavari Delta on the eastern coast of India. This is where I belong to. These were major trading centers in the river basins of Indus, Ganga, and Godavari and Krishna. Early art shows Buddha symbolically, right? Like in Sanchi and Bharut, as has been mentioned. But later Buddha appears in form, beginning of Mahayana perhaps. There is much dispute if first Buddha form was sculptured in Gandhara or Mathura. Kushan kings patronized imagery a lot. We find the image of Kanishka king. Okay, Kushana's patronized imagery. Kushana's patronized imagery a lot, and we have the example of Kanishka's statue, right? It's a wonder how the statue still remains, and you can see a glimpse of a statue of somebody from that time. So we find the image of Kanishka the king, which may have inspired artists to show the earliest image of Ashoka in Buddhist site at Sannati in Karnataka's Krishna Basin. So there's an image of Ashoka. Alright, this can be asked in prelims, Image of Ashoka at Sannati. Alright. Gandhara art uses schist stone or stucco plaster and is characterized by fine Roman grace, drapery, and drapery is the word here when you talk about Gandhara art, and the nimbus, sun behind the head, and this is called nimbus, alright. Halo, as is mentioned in our textbooks. Gandha art was probably influenced by pagan artisans who migrated to India following the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire. Acha. The pagan artists who migrated to India following the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire. And there are giant bejeweled yaksha and yakshi images in Mathura. Bulky like wrestlers full of breath, what a description. So Gandhara art uses schist or stucco plasters. So these are the keywords I'm noting down. Alright, and then for Mathura, Yaksha, Yakshini. Now the imagery of Buddhist, Jain and Hindu deities. In this period, we see the earliest bodhisattvas indicating a shift in Buddhist thought. Okay, so Buddhist sculptures indicate a shift in the Buddhist thought as well as early images of Hindu gods, especially Krishna, Vasudeva and Naga deities. Naga is an important element in the sculptures. You see a lot of Naga. Today is also this is called Nagula Chaviti in this part of India. It's special for snake worship stuff. So Chaturthi, Chaviti is Chaturthi, and after Diwali, the 4th day after Amavasya, this is called Nagula Chaviti, and they prayed the snakes, particularly the Indian cobra, the spectacled cobra. In Mathura alone, we find the earliest Jain sculptures. Okay, Mathura there were sculptures of other multiple religions. We know that the naked ascetics stand alone without the yakshas and yakshis on either side. And Amravati school of art, also known as Andhra school of art, used a kind of marble-like limestone and had an extreme amount of ornamentation here. This art spread to Sri Lanka and thrived there till 12th century CE. And now we can talk about the spread of Indian architecture art basically to other countries, and we can also mention Amravati school. So Amravati, what is special about Amravati is highly ornamented limestone which looks like white marble. Limestone which, so when you write in your answer about the importance of sculptures, you write about the how they display the shift in Buddhist art, and you also substantiate it by saying that the Sanchi and the Bharut stupas used to have symbols of Buddha, while Amravati started perhaps showing Buddha himself. Alright, that was the beginning of Mahayana perhaps. So that's how you write a point and substantiate with facts and information. From the Gupta period onwards, we find the rise of various new Buddhist, Jain, Hindu deities carved on caves, right? From Gupta period, especially in the Deccan region, because the black, the stone, the black basalt rock was perhaps more workable, and so you see Udayagiri, Ellora, Elephanta are cases in point where we find images of Buddha, Bodhisattva, Tara, Nagas, Shiva, Vishnu, Kubera, and many Jain Tirthankaras and Yakshas and Yakshis guarding them. This became even more prominent in the period of Deccan Chalukyas. At Aihole, Badami and Patadakal, these are names I really get confused with ki kaun sa temple kahan pe hai, but we see ki Deccan Chalukyas, the early Chalukyas, are really important in this matter, and there are lots of temples in these three towns of Chalukyan Empire. Shiva and Vishnu's imagery abounds in basalt and granite material, right? After 800 CE, when freestanding temples emerged in Odisha, Uttarakhand and coasts of Andhra, where I live, and Tamil Nadu, and the mountains of Maharashtra and Karnataka, sculptures were now found on these temples. I hope the things were readable, and from next time onwards I will keep in mind about the size of the font that will be visible to you on the video. For this time, bear with me. Bronze Natarajas in the Chola period. Now we are talking about around the 10th century Chola period. The bronze Natarajas emerged. Mobile sculptures that are made using the lost wax method. Recent research has shown that the copper for these came from Sri Lanka, which is possibly why the Cholas constantly fought with Sri Lanka, formerly called Tambapanni, or also called Tamrabarani. Tamba. I think Hindi maybe it's called Tamba. You know, copper is called Tamba. My languages are really good. The regional language, Hindi, etc. So we get copper from Sri Lanka. The Cholas used to get, and it was called the pronunciation Tambapanni. Also, there's called Tamrabarani. There's also river Tamrabarani in Tamil Nadu, the ancient river. All right, Tamrabarani. So associate this name with Tamil Nadu, Tamrabarani or Tambapanni. All right. So Muslim rulers did not patronize sculptures as it was against Islamic belief. Yeah, we know that, and it'll be good if we also mention this thing in our answer when we are talking about sculptures. But stone and metal sculptures thrived in Hindu and Jain temples. When Europeans arrived, they brought the European style of sculptures, which were idealized human bodies and musculature and with little ornamentation, very different from Indian statues that displayed smooth contours, transparent fabrics, and jewelry. So the characteristic features of Indian sculptures. While these sculptures that have survived, while these are the sculptures that have survived, you must also look at what might have not survived. Tribal groups, for example, would use clay to make idols, like the famous terracotta Bankura horses of Bengal. In Bengal, there has been a lot of terracotta art. We have a town called Bishnupur in Bengal near the Midnapur district, where there are terracotta temples. They were used as votives for rituals, these terracotta Bankura horses. So we mentioned the Bankura horses, right? আমি একটু বাংলা বুঝতে পারি. And even today in Ganesh Chaturthi and Durga Puja, rivers clay sculptures are prayed to and then dissolved. No trace of it is left. That's a great point to associate the ancient culture with the continuation into Indian culture or contemporary culture. So we are going to write 2 points here. Now here are some questions particularly that Devdutt Patnaik ji has mentioned. So discuss and elaborate salient features of Gandha art with examples, and this question has been asked many times. Alright, the Gandha art is halo, Buddha, and the Roman influence, the transparency in the fabric, the folds, and the musculature and the proportions, proportions of the body, the scale of it, and the eyes perhaps, the meditative nature, etc. What do ancient sculptures from Harappan civilization say about the artistic techniques and the cultural practices of that era? So artistic techniques and the cultural practices. What do these sculptures say about these? So artistic techniques may you'll have to mention the clay thing, the lost wax technique, the bronze thing. There are this is also terracotta, and there's stone, and you talk about how the lost wax technique was used, and the clay was pretty rudimentary. You look at the clay sculptures from that time; they're pretty rudimentary. And what do they use to create? And cultural practices, what do these sculptures talk about regarding the cultural practices of that era? So you talk about the bearded man in stone. You also talk about the tablet in which the Pashupatinath, we call it Pashupatinath, that person is sitting in a meditative state, and We have a plow, plow, terracotta little plow found. Um, so we talk about farming practices, wooden plows, and we look at the dancing girl. We look at the chudiyan, look at the bangles and hairstyle and stuff. We talk about the fashion, etc. We talk about mother goddess worshipping the nature, the feminine cult. What is the dispute over the first sculptured form of Buddha? Okay, dispute is people do not know if it began in Gandhara or Mathura, right? How did the patronage of Kushan kings, particularly the Kanishka influence early Buddhist imagery, Kushanas started making human like sculptures? We can witness from the remnants of the sculpture of Kanishka himself, and from that began a culture of making Buddha, the sculpture of the Buddha himself, perhaps. So that's a step forward into Mahayana, I guess. Flourishing of various art forms during Kushan period reflects rich and diverse cultural landscape of the time. What insights does this provide into the society and culture of that era about the Kushana time? So we see the evolution of these cultures, and also we talk about the area that the Kushanas occupied. There was Bactria, that was Afghanistan. There's Chinese influence, and there's a large part of India and Central Asia. So there's a lot of varied nature of people living inside and their cultures. And so we talk about the Gandhara school and the Mathura school, both of which started in the Kushan Empire, and there was a diverse cultural landscape. There was Roman influence in the west, the Gandhara Empire, and what insights does this provide into the society and culture of that era? So we talk about the beliefs of the people who were making this art and who they were making this art for, whether they believed in which religion. And like in Mathura, there were also yakshas and yakshinis and ascetics that were statues of whom were built. So there were singular standing ascetics. Ascetic मतलब साधु सन्या संत. So उन पे भी विश्वास किया जाता था. And there's a lot of development in mythology, and so we can go on talking about this stuff, the society and culture, what their beliefs were religious. Most of the beliefs were religious, right? Religious or spiritual, and what they were in the West and what kind of population was there, and stuff. Yeah. So if we read about the Kanishka's empire, then we can perhaps write more about this. So here the Gandhara art and the Kanishka, Kushan period basically, and the Buddha, these are the things that are interrelated. So we should keep that in mind. And that's it for now. The next thing will be Mahatma Gandhi and Narayan Guru's idea of non-violence that we'll explore in the next video. And we'll finish UPSC Essentials October very soon. We'll finish all the months before the exam time comes. We'll be thorough with these Indian Express के UPSC Essentials magazines, because these are the best curated magazines you can find. जो फालतू की चीज़ें बहुत लोग बनाते हैं. मतलब विजन को मैं नहीं बोल रहा. विजन एंड राउस, these people are good, but जो खुद से बनाने का दावा कर रहे हैं, those things are really blasphemous, misguiding the students and everybody. मतलब ये this is not the USP of something कि prelims का अलग है, mains का अलग है. This is not some USP. You don't know what will be asked in prelims. Questions have been changing, and you really don't know what mains में क्या आप लिख सकते थे. Scope for everything. It's a blank page. Mains में you can write everything. There's no standard this thing that has to be written in mains. ये कोई guide नहीं है 10th class का 12th class का exam नहीं है. I mean there's a lot of scope for you to show creativity. जितना आप दिखाएंगे, जितना आपका नॉलेज है, अपना टैलेंट, अपना नॉलेज अपना एनालिसिस, बेसिकली एनालिसिस, पॉइंट्स रट के आपको लिखना, वहाँ पे ये तो सभी करते हैं, बट ये नहीं, एनालिसिस, यू हैव टू बी एनालिटिकल, एंड समटाइम्स यू कांट ऑलवेज बी एनालिटिकल इन एवरी मैटर. तो reading through these articles gives you a perspective. These are analysis of experts, and that is what we seek to gain knowledge, right? So अगले बार से I'll make these videos much shorter. I'll try to shorten the length. So let's see what happens. That's it for now. Thank you. Bye.